My life was full. That's right. I was working through the day with the candy truck. At night, I was at the bakery all night, working part-time for a ranch, as well as trying to have a home life with my wife and children. And I also had a college course I was taking. And so when my father didn't feel well and they put him in the hospital, I went that night to see him. I spent 15 minutes with him. I said 15 minutes. And it would be the last 15 minutes I ever had with him as he passed away the next morning at the hospital. We didn't know, but that 15 minutes is worth more than gold. There was a man down by Benkelman. He had the nickname of Hard Hat. My wife went to school with him. I really didn't know much about him other than his reputation as an incredibly good construction man and almost a craftsman, if you will. He was good at his skill, you bet. But he also did charity work. Again, all I knew is of his reputation. Can't say I ever had a conversation with him before that, though. And I was at a railroad crossing and the train had blocked the road. They're not supposed to block it for over 20 minutes, but we'd been there for most of an hour before it finally was broken apart. So as I sat there, the pickup had pulled up behind me. I saw that it was the Hard Hat guy. Okay. So I got out and just walked back to his car. And we visited. Had a nice little visit, maybe 15 minutes. And you could feel his soul and the intelligence and the goodness within that man. I was honored to be with him and to talk to him, you bet. But more than you know, because who knew that within the next week he would pass away. And so that 15 minutes that I took and walked back there and talked to him, that 15 minutes is worth more than gold. My wife and I, we went down to the river and did a little bit of fishing, panned for some gold, and looked for some arrowheads for the day. And on the way back, we saw an old man out there, a neighbor to her father. And so we pulled up there and visited with him outside his home for maybe 15 minutes. Maybe 15 minutes. An enjoyable small talk was all there was. And we went on down the road. The next week, her father passed away in a nursing home, and it was time for him to go. With that in mind, though, the next day, my wife and her sister, they went to tell his friend, the next farm over, about her father's passing. And they found that old man in front of his pickup, dead. He had been dead for a few days. That was very tragic and very tough for my wife and her sister to find, to say the least. But with that in mind, it's worth more than gold that we, driving by, instead of just going on down the road, we saw him and we pulled over, we stopped, we got out, and we spent 15 minutes with him. 15 minutes worth more than gold. Maybe you should consider spending 15 minutes and make a memory that's worth more than gold.